Live from the TPC River Highlands in Cromwell, here's Rob Dibble.
And that sound of the NBA Finals, courtesy of ABC. First segment of the Rob Dibble Show is sponsored by Liberty Mazda. Liberty Mazda in Hartford, your destination for new and certified pre-owned Mazdas during the Mazda Find Out event. Rob and Ben, we are going to be here, like we said, till Sunday. This is the 1 week where we do 7 days in a row.
That's right.
From TPC River Highlands. Woo! It is 10 degrees hotter today.
Yes!
It's supposed to be 10 degrees hotter tomorrow. Celtics are now the champions for the 18th time in their storied franchise history, and they did it in fine fashion. They were up 10 after the first. They were up 21 at halftime.
Dang.
They were up 19 after 3, and they finished up 18 after the game was over. So this was really never a game. You talked about this yesterday. Kind of a lackluster finals, but a lot of the playoff series, a lot of the regular season is some of these teams, I'm not going to say they give up, but they go into load management mode during the game. And it looked very much like that from the second quarter on. Halftime, right. It was a blowout. The Pritchard halftime, the half-court shot, that's what he works on a lot.
Hit two of them now.
And the announcers were like, hey, he really loves this shot, and he makes it. So, I mean, but pretty much everything else was scripted for the Celtics. The Celtics dominated defensively. The Mavericks shot poorly. It really wasn't much of a game.
Yeah, I looked at more of a taking care of business championship. Listen, they can only play who's in front of them. I was wishing that the Denver Nuggets somehow could enter into the bodies of the Dallas Mavericks last night. There's so much lackluster effort on defense, and there was a couple points where I thought, hey, man, you guys hit a three right here. You cut it to 16, and then you get some more stops, and then all of a sudden you're just throwing up bricks. You're not hustling for rebounds. And there's plenty of time left. We're talking like 10 minutes to go in the third quarter. The attitude of this game's over kind of crept into the system of the Dallas Mavericks. Whatever, so be it. The NBA Finals, I thought this year, and the playoffs in general, were littered with injuries of some of the best players and littered with blowouts and three-point-a-thons. And say what you want to say about the product that you're watching right now. Regardless, the NBA is played on the same court with the same height of hoops. I feel like I'm Gene Hackman in Hoosiers, but it's true. And Tatum, Brown, and the Boston Celtics had to deal with the same parameters as everyone else. I'm super happy for those two. And Al Horford.
Yeah.
And, of course, Derek White. Drew Holiday, this is his second. And Porzingis. But I really thought for all of those guys, minus Drew Holiday, when you just saw the championship sink into their system last night, when the confetti is falling down, to me, it wasn't, oh my gosh, I can't believe we did this. It was, finally, we have found the resolution that we are relieved to get this off of our back, and we are champions finally when we said we were going to, but everyone counted us out.
There were many different variations of lineups over the last 5, 6, 7 years. Really talented, even going back to when Kyrie came through here. Isaiah Thomas came through here for a couple of years, and they were getting to either the conference championship or the NBA Finals and losing. And I'll tell you what, you know who was very classy was Kyrie Irving.
I just wrote that
Kyrie
down.
Irving, who won a championship in Cleveland. If you didn't see the video, first of all, he waited for every one of his teammates to come off the court.
Right.
Shook everybody's hand. Then was amazing in his press conference where he's like, listen, these guys have been through adversity. They have had to answer these questions where I'm sitting now for many years. And even though they're young, because Jaylen Brown and Tatum are 27 and 26.
I know.
They're still very young. There's been a lot of, like, people keep, saying, how can you not win? Because there's great teams out there every year. Not only is LeBron on great teams, the Nuggets have been great, Milwaukee Bucks have been great. I mean, so many of these other teams have been really, really talented.
Giannis and Embiid have been running the East.
Yeah, and so, when you look at what even the Heat's been fantastic. They took them out. So when you look at what's happened over the last few years, I like to give credit where credit is due. Some of these other teams just played better when they needed to play better. We kept saying that Tatum kept disappearing in the fourth quarter of some of these big games. Well, he didn't last night.
He had a great game last night.
This guy was fantastic throughout the entire game. My favorite player that now is on the Celtics that came from somewhere else is Drew Holiday. Was everywhere. 11 rebounds, 15 points. He was a plus 21, but he was a little dynamo. He was everywhere. He was the Energizer Bunny. He was getting rebounds. He was blocking shots. He was defending Kyrie. He was defending. First of all, he's easy to find. He's got the big do-rag on and the headband, and so I could see him running around like crazy. He's everywhere. And so he wanted it as bad as any Celtic wanted it. Derek White was amazing.
Love Derek White.
Derek White got his tooth knocked in his face.
Oh, I forgot all about this. Gosh,
so at one point,
horrible.
Blood is gushing out of his mouth. He's like, yeah, I'm not coming out. Not right now. And he's smiling, and you can see his tooth is broken. So
I will love him forever for
probably
that.
The dentist will be like, dude, I'll fix it for free. Anyway, it was great. Porzingis made a cameo. Came out there. What did I tell you? He's dressed out.
Yeah.
The emotions. He hits the floor. Didn't play that great. Didn't play that poorly. He just played. He wanted to contribute in the championship finale against a team that had sent him packing. So all things considered, then Pritchard had a big basket. Hauser had a couple of good baskets. Everybody that had been contributing to this point. And you made a great point. Even Al Horford, the first ball he touched, he hits a three, was huge because you're like, listen, if he's going to start making threes,
right
now that takes pressure off the guys who need to make threes. So everything fell into place. Like I said, after the first quarter, at halftime, they dominated that game from start to finish. And now they raised the banner, and you can't ever take it down.
There's not many NBA champions that I can't point to the fifth guy on the team, the sixth guy, the seventh and eighth guys making big plays in huge spots. Everybody talks about Steve Kerr hitting that three for Michael Jordan when he passed the ball when he's wide open. I mean, Robert Horry has won 7 titles for making those big threes out on the wing where the ball just rolls
does his
to
part.
him. And for the Boston Celtics, this was a complete team compared to everyone else. Everyone else in the NBA, this was the most complete team. And Brad Stevens needs a definite pat on the back or an extra
one executive a year. He should get an extra diamond in his ring.
That dude put together a hell of a squad, and they figured it out. And I was one of the people 2 years ago that thought, all right, the Brown-Tatum experiment isn't working on offense. One of them cannibalizes the other. They can't coexist. I am wrong. Whoever made that decision, whether it was Brad Stevens or somebody above him, was completely right. Just think of the Ime Udoka drama that happened in the middle of this team building, and then Missoula taking over, and all the heat that he got last year. I shouldn't even say that because it was the Miami Heat that put him out. Right. All the pressure that was put on him to be a better coach, you just can tell that guy spends 24 hours a day thinking about winning this championship. I'm very happy for him and the circumstance that he was thrusted into. Super happy for Brad Stevens, who I thought was kind of like walking away from the game a little bit to go to the front office, but proving to me and everyone else he made a bigger impact what he was doing up there than he did probably as a head coach.
And our good friend and national championship winner herself, Ashley Battle, sold us on, not only Holiday but Porzingis. He's better than you think. He's going to do better, but he did get banged up. We know he's often injured. But he was a difference maker, and in the games he did play, he was totally dominant. Other than last night, so yes, he needs surgery. But the bottom line is, it's the choices you make. Who's going to fit in well? Who's going to gel well with this team? Holiday has been amazing. This guy not only has a ring from another team, but he comes in and he's humble, unselfish, and he's like, I'm a role player, man. I'm a role player. No, dude, you're a star.
Right.
But the fact that you can defer to those other two guys that were here before you shows that you're the right guy. Porzingis comes in, not saying a whole lot. He's very productive, and then right near the end, he was like, then it showed his heart where, oh no, I want to show these guys they were wrong about me. So I just think everything that Brad Stevens did, the Udoka, meltdown in the front office and stuff, that opened the way for Missoula to come in here, and that guy has been able to not screw up a free lunch. This is an all-star team.
I agree.
This is an all-star team. If you had come in here and tried to move pieces around and do this and do that, no, listen, Jaylen Brown is a brilliant, quiet guy. Tatum is an emotional guy. He's kind of the emotional leader. Horford, he's the old guy that comes in and he keeps all the guys in check. He's an amazing presence, and thank God they brought him back. So all the moves in the last 3 years that they've done to get that championship have been done very well.
I think of Coach Hurley's squad at UConn a lot, too, with the makeup of this team. And just thinking of, like, what the winning combinations are in this new era of basketball where it's a lot of three-point shooting and it's really offensive focused. But the UConn teams get their offense started with defense. This Boston Celtics team won the NBA Finals with defense.
Yep.
The superstars always check their egos at the door and feel like they're just like anyone else on the end of the bench. And I'd say with Brown and Tatum, they do a lot of the little things most superstars won't. I mean, just look on the other side of the court. Luka cannot play defense. Luka is a
liability on
I would
defense.
rather have a mannequin out there with a scary face mask on that might scare the guy to stop dribbling than Luka olaying every drive to the basket right to the hoop. I just really love the effort Brown and Tatum put in all season. Like, it really did feel like they were focused for the championship. I know they'd had an easier road this year than probably years of past just because of the injuries on other teams. But still, you can't take anything away from these guys. They're going to be champions for now until the end of time. And you brought it up at the beginning, 18. That's
18,
one more than
man.
the Lakers, or they tied. One more. Lakers got 17.
I think they might with the in-season championship.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah, the big in-season banner that's hanging up there.
That might put them ahead with 19 or 18 and a half.
Wow.
I mean, listen, you know, looking at some of the stuff, though, that you can't help the injury to Embiid or, Antetokounmpo, but at the same time, you know, the Pacers, they didn't just give it up. The Cavaliers played you tough.
Yeah.
And you nailed it with the defense. All 4 losses for the Mavericks, they didn't hit the century mark. The one game they won, they scored 122 points, and it was just a poor showing by the Celtics. Might have been a load management game on their part. Like, listen, we're out of it in the first couple of quarters. We're not shooting well. Let's back off our stars. They did. They only played 27 minutes apiece between Brown and Tatum. Those guys played 27 each. And then they come out and they both play 45 minutes in the victory. So, I think a lot of this at this level, like with Hurley at the college level, is reading the room. How has the game evolved? And the game has evolved to every guy on the floor from Al Horford, Tatum, everybody's got to shoot threes. Everybody
all got a green light.
Everybody needs to play defense. And Porzingis, when he was in there, or Horford, they were rim protectors. The other 4 were magnificent in the postseason. Brown, White, Holiday, and even Tatum. Tatum was great picking guys up, coming over half court a lot, and being in their face, especially last night. You know, when those guys are playing great and your big men can just do what they're doing in the paint, man, that's tough. A lot of teams, like you said, Luka's not playing a lot of great defense. There was other guys on the Mavericks that got beat a couple of times. There was a couple of times that Holiday had easy layups. Brown had easy layups. They'd come in or they'd dish it off. Tatum would get a dunk. Porzingis would get a dunk. It'd be easy for the guy because the 2 guys would collapse on the ball. So I think when you're looking at what the Celtics were able to accomplish, they really played a fundamentally sound game, but got back on defense. And so many teams in the NBA are lazy, and they give up a lot of transition points where they don't want to bust their ass and get back on defense.
Well, I think, too, that the offensive has got so sophisticated that no matter who you start on, that most likely you're going to find yourself in a switching situation if they have any kind of ball rotation. That was the biggest thing I thought about the Mavericks is, and listening to Jaylen Brown, by the way, being mic'd up for the NBA Finals was brilliant from ESPN. I thought he did an awesome job being mic'd up. And the one thing that I really took from his mic'd up was when he was telling Mazzulla on a timeout, I think it was third quarter, so they're still up. They're up big. He's like, the only way Luka is going to get the ball is if he brings it up. If he passes it, he ain't getting it back.
Right.
And that defensive mindset is awesome to have. But even for Jaylen Brown to think that, it's hard to execute it because there's going to be a lot of screens coming to get Luka free. And in the course of that, there are going to be switch-offs where mismatches are going to happen. And you have to play defense. Even if you are a Derek White and you find yourself under the hoop and Lively has the ball about ready to jam. Oh, what a block. What a block. A 6'4" guard put on a 7-foot center last night. One of my favorite blocks of all time, really was. But that was a case where White's been used to this situation. He gets switched off. He finds himself down on the block. He has to guard a 5 in a split-second situation. You got one or two things. You can either get dunked on or you can do your best ability to try to stop the ball, and he did a great job stopping the ball. I can't say that about Luka.
No.
I'm sorry. They're going to get Jaylen Brown switched off on him up at the perimeter, and he's going to let him drive by, and he's not ready for that.
That's the big thing. When they fouled Luka out, it changed the tenor of this series, because now it's
Game 3.
we're going to switch off and make Luka guard somebody that he can't guard.
Right.
And the more we can do that, the more we put him in defensive situations where we're going to come out on top. And they did it again last night. But the thing was, he wasn't going to guard you because he didn't want to get in foul trouble. So it kind of, and then he wasn't making shots because there was always somebody in his face. I mean, what they did, what Mazzulla and the coaching staff had game plan wise was brilliant, and because it really, you got in Luka's head. He looked demoralized coming into like game 2, game 3.
I agree.
I mean, he looked like an old man, and that's because, listen, I can't do the things I normally do because they just won't allow it.
And that's the other thing, man. 3 and D. Ashley Battle said that phrase to me when she started being a scout for the Boston Celtics. We're looking for 3 and D guys. Obviously, Drew Holiday, Derek White fit that bill perfectly. But even, in the landscape of the other team, the Mavericks were broke from three-point. They could not make a three-pointer to save their life last night when they needed it. Wide open shots all season were hitting the back of the rim. They were just throwing up bricks. I say yes, defense has a lot to do with it. Got to tip my cap to the Boston Celtics fans as well. Tough place to shoot in game 1, 2, and 5. But Luka, can we stop the Luka-Kyrie best ever tandem to do it on offense? Gosh, everybody that was talking NBA once they won the Western Conference Finals was anointing these guys the best tandem in basketball. Get out of here with that mess. The best tandem in basketball would not have had the performance I saw last night from those two. So, I think Luka's got a lot of growing up to do, man. I think this series kind of pointed out to a lot of people, this guy whines a lot to the refs. And you're not going to get those calls most likely in the playoffs, especially not in the NBA Finals. So you can keep on whining up and down the floor, but the other team's often running with the basketball. So I think he needs to grow up on that. Obviously, he needs to get better on defense. And he's just got to focus in a little bit more on his body and get ready for everyone coming at him now that they're the Western Conference Finals champs. Don't assume you're going to get back as easy as you got there.
Game 5, Panthers-Oilers tonight. We'll talk more about the NBA coming up in a little bit, but let's give this a little bit of love. Panthers can close it out at home with the Oilers. Oilers get a game in this series and make it a little bit better of a series, kind of what Dallas did in Game 4 against the Celtics. So Oilers are kind of behind it right now. They need some great goaltending, and they got to put the puck in the back of the net.
Well, they definitely did in Game 4, man. If they could have saved some of those goals for Game 5, I mean, 8-1 final in Game 4, you think, this is the team to beat, but they got to do it 3 more times to make it happen. Skinner, I think, is the biggest factor in this game. Like, can the goalie of Edmonton stop the barrage from the Panthers? Transition, that's my theme of the playoffs in NHL hockey. These transition goals have been killers for every team, and the Panthers are one of the best, and with Bennett and Reinhart getting out in front. And then just the special teams, man, especially on defense. When you have a power play kill and you can help out this Skinner up front, because that's the other thing, like, as many mistakes as he made, like he did in Game 3, that one goal that kind of gave him the lead there in Game 3, I thought was all the goalie's fault. If he can get some help up front to clean up the trash, it's going to be easy like it always is. But Bennett just hangs around the crease. Kachuk is going to be everywhere in the blink of an eye. They're very talented, and it's going to take a pretty big effort from the Edmonton goalie to get the win.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. It is Tuesday here at the Travelers. A lot of practice going on. Tomorrow's going to be very busy with the Pro-Am, and then Thursday through Sunday is the tournament. So we will come back. We'll talk about what these guys are doing. They're still testing out all the stuff. All the pro trucks are here, from Titleist to all these other golf places, and so they're letting these guys test their different things and see if they might want to use something different for the Travelers Championship. It's Rob, it's Ben, Nick Federico's on the video out here. Kirk Kaplan is keeping things together with Henry Bieniemy back in the studio on the 1s and 2s. It is the Rob Dibble Show from the Travelers Championship on Fox Sports Radio.